Junkyard Brawl. This week, the orange fur will fly as the collision of cat calamity as we have Heathcliff versus Garfield. Who is the ultimate orange fat cat?
Joel.
Yes, Andrew.
Fun fact about the Sunday Funnies.
Okay.
Did you know there are two separate Dennis the Menaces?
Yes.
Both entirely different and made in the same year that have the same name. But one is a British one. If you talk to a British person about Dennis the Menace, they're not going to think of the blonde fuckhead kid. They're going to think of this, like, football hooligan kid with a dog.
They're going to think...
I say that because a lot of people say that Garfield is a ripoff of Heathcliff, but I think the way it lines up, I think it might just be a big coincidence.
Maybe, Andrew.
It's hard to say.
Maybe.
But we're back at it. We're back at it with Junkyard Brawl. I love these.
Pitting two orange fat cats that stand the test of time against
orange
one
fat
another.
cat? You mean Donald Trump? Topical humor. He was our president once. Okay, that's the only time I'm making that joke. But it had to be done. I couldn't not. It was on there. It was right on the table.
Yep.
So for those of you who have never listened to our show, welcome. And secondly,
Howdy.
a Junkyard Brawl is where two similar cartoons go head to head in 4 or 5 categories, maybe more if we make them up on the spot. Theme song goes head to head. History, quality of show. And the next one is, okay, nostalgia quality of the show, what you remember about it. The fourth one is we take off the rose-colored nostalgia glasses and we really look at what these are. And then the fifth one is who would win in a fight, a real and their cats. So I tried really hard to commission an artist to have to draw Heathcliff and Garfield fighting in a junkyard and then us maybe throwing money at the pit. They're just not money.
No, we would be throwing foods, pans of lasagna,
and fish bones.
Yeah, and fish bones. Well, I think...
Okay, I mean, we can still get it made. I wanted to get it made before this episode, but every artist I contacted, they were just they were apparently killing it because they're yeah, I'm booked till October. And I'm like, fuck.
The hunt for
and I have a drawing pad, but I'm not talented enough. My mom can draw Garfield, but I don't know if she can draw Heathcliff.
I mean, they're not that different.
They are not.
We could have just taken one outline of a cat and did it twice and just made them different shades of orange.
That's very true. Fine. But you know what? They are different in their theme songs. So let's go ahead and go round one.
Let's hit it. Here comes Heathcliff's intro.
Heathcliff, Heathcliff, no one should terrify their neighborhood. But Heathcliff just won't be undone, playing pranks on everyone. There's a race to be on top. The competition doesn't stop. Mixing with the ladies fair, being charming, debonair. The game will reign supreme, and no one can deny. They'll make a mystery.
feel like this song is entirely too long.
Yeah, I lost interest
It's
in it
like
about
I
30
feel
seconds
it's
ago.
only 2 minutes, but God, it feels like it's 5.
Only 2 minutes in theme
That is
song.
pretty long for a theme song.
For a kid's like Saturday morning cartoon, that is way too long.
That is true.
You're getting into
30
like
seconds to a minute is the sweet.
That's
the
the sweet
spot.
this is like a full on anime intro. It's like 2 minutes long.
I
It's like
think
a
there's
full.
that's a little hint towards Heathcliff.
All
I
right.
feel.
So now it's time for Garfield and Friends.
Garfield and Friends.
Friends are there,
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride when something inside's got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to flip,
When you've got the world on your shoulders.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are there when you need them. They're even there when you don't.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
This one's also really long.
Why? Why do we do this?
You know, there's a second Garfield and Friends intro.
There's a number of them. This is the one we remember.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
Garfield and Friends.
We're ready to party.
We're ready. I hope you bring lots of spaghetti.
Come on in, come to the place where fun never ends. Come on in, it's time to party with Garfield and Friends. Dancing,
Fiesta,
romancing,
siesta,
samba.
la bamba. Ay caramba, disguises.
Yeah, this is the one that we.
This is the
would've
better
given.
of the three.
It is, but if we
If I
want
were
to just
to put them in order, I would say the the Samba Garfield and Friends intro
yeah, what this would have been
would be number one.
This would have been the 90s era of Garfield and Friends.
Right.
Because this would have been like probably like 91, 92 when this one was coming out. The first one, that was like the original intro they went with when the show aired in 88.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. That one's definitely last.
That one's last. All right. You cut Heathcliff down to 45 seconds. It takes
Right.
the cake. It wins it all. But
Yeah,
the
it's just
fact
too
that-
long.
Oh my God, it is a pain. This one is perfect because this one's like that 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. It's good. But yeah,
So Garfield wins, but I feel like it's a hollow victory because his first one is so shit. Like, but I guess that's the true mark of a winner is they knew their first one sucked, so they had to make a change. They're like, oh God, no one's gonna watch this after
like,
that intro.
why are we having a Frank Sinatra-esque song?
Yeah,
as our
what was
intro.
that?
Who are we marketing to here? A bunch of like baby boomers?
Yeah.
They was able to adapt, pivot, make something better. But there was even more. There was, I think, 6 different intros that
Yeah,
Garfield
we're not.
had. No, we're not going to sit here
I'm
and do
not
that.
doing
So
that. I'm not
we'll-
doing that to me, and I'm not doing that to our audience.
So we'll say Garfield takes this round, but just barely. It was like a 1 point difference.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
Yeah.
So I feel like their histories, as far as why the show got made, is relatively similar.
Yes.
Even to the point that the apps that these shows are on they're basically the same version of the same app. So Garfield and Friends is on Tubi, Heathcliff is on Pluto TV.
Oh man.
Both of the apps that you're like, Oh, yeah.
Yep. You forget about them. You're like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that
You
does
forget about
exist.
them in a second. I'm pretty sure you don't really remember they exist until you Google a show you don't remember or are avid listener of Cartoon Dumpster Dive. So you're welcome to be in Pluto TV for the free advertisement.
Free advertisements. Maybe that's who we should get a sponsor for.
That's true. Because we never got a call back from Flint Mints.
Oh, come on, guys.
I still enjoy them, but I'm not going to say that on this show.
Well, you just did.
Fuck.
Damn it. Back to the drawing board. All right.
So let's get a little bit of history about at least how the creation of Heathcliff got made.
Yeah, so like you said, it's really just two different production companies and studios just wanted to capitalize on these, Sunday funny comic characters. Heathcliff actually was released in 1984, done by our best friends, Andrew, over there at Dick Entertainment.
Did Deke outsource this? Because this looks competent. Or is this around the time that Deke still cared?
This would, this is 80, I just said 84, yeah. So
yeah.
this is
so
when
yeah, they
Deke,
still gave a shit.
They
Okay.
still cared. I
Had
mean,
to.
They had to. They had to make a name for themselves at this point. So there's really not too much behind the actual show. Now, the comic, though, that was actually created by a man named George Gately. He created the first launch date of Heathcliff was on September 3rd, 1973. Remember this date, Andrew.
Okay, yeah.
Because that is a thing between these two orange cats was who was the original.
Yeah, who's the first cat?
So in 1973, okay? Not too much behind this creation. Really all that I was able to see, he made a comic book or a comic book character off of an orange cat getting into shenanigans.
It wasn't like based off of an orange cat he had as a kid or anything?
No, not Gately. Gately ain't that kind of guy, apparently.
He just was like, orange cats are funny.
Yeah, no, George Gately, apparently, from what I could find, not too much there. He just created something. Okay, now let's just go ahead and flip over the book or the
Okay.
next page. Let's go to Garfield.
In the history of orange cats in the comic books.
Let's go to Garfield. Now, Garfield and Friends aired in 1988. Was done by CBS and what is that one company called? Film Roman, that's it.
Okay.
Film Roman CBS did that. So, hey, Heathcliff wins on animated series. Okay. Now, there were single TV shot animated specials all throughout the early 80s leading up to Garfield and Friends. I actually think they had a total of 12 and it went all the way into like 91. But
Gotcha.
so that's kind of one of those gray areas since he had TV specials first. Now, this is where it really comes down to it, Andrew. I think most everybody knows the name of the man who created Garfield, Jim Davis.
Yes.
The history of this is a little bit more interesting, but this is where it gets kind of complicated. In 1973, he was working as an assistant for T.K. Ryan's Tumbleweeds, and he created a comic strip called Gnome Nat.
Okay.
And it would only run within the Pendleton Times out in Pendleton, Indiana. And it ran from 1973 to 1975. Now, he had tried to get this comic strip syndicated, but he could never accomplish that. And the feedback he would get was the art was good, his gags were great, but nobody can identify with Bugs. So Davis decided to peruse current comic strips to determine what species of animal characters might be more popular. He felt that dogs were kind of already overly represented in this medium.
I can only think of Marmaduke. Oh,
And
Snoopy. I guess there were a lot of dogs.
But he noticed something. He noticed there wasn't a lot of cats. So he figured he could create a cat store because growing up on a farm with 25 cats. And thus, he created the character of Garfield.
Okay.
Now, Garfield was actually based on cats that Davis had around his home growing up.
That is even stranger.
And he actually pulls a lot of these references from there. Like, the actual name of Garfield came from his grandfather, James A. Garfield Davis. And John Arbuckle came from a coffee commercial in the 50s.
What?
Like, he's grabbing all of these names from, just either other things that he's seen, people he knows, but he really pulled from everything that was around his world when he was creating this. So you have one guy. He has no history with cats. He just made an orange cat. See, I always read that Jim Davis, his goal was to make a super marketable character. And that's why Garfield has a ton of redesigns. Yep.
Because originally he was he looked like a cat. He looked like a fat orange cat. And he wasn't bipedal or anything. And then later, he turned into the more cartoonish looking Garfield that we know today.
Yeah.
Heathcliff, as far as I can tell, he looks like he would be based more off of Felix the Cat from like the 20s Rubber Hose era cartoons. And maybe that's where we're going with. That's where that's coming from. I feel like I got to give it to Garfield on this one just because there's more, it feels like there's more of a connection that Jim Davis has with Garfield. I thought originally I was going to give it to Heathcliff because I thought that I thought that Garfield is a lot like Sonic to me. Yep. Which is why I think their memes are interchangeable. But it's all about their survivability is all about their design. And so I thought it's just the cash grabbingness of Garfield has bothered me for a long time. So I thought I was going to give it to the underdog, but it just seems like there was more heart in the creation of Garfield as a comic. As far as their shows are concerned, which is what we're going to go with, they're about the same. I mean, they were just, let's turn this orange cat into a cartoon.
But no,
remember,
we're just rating the history at this point, not the cartoon.
I will say that I think it was a smart idea to do Jim Davis's other comic, USA Acres. So Garfield gets an episode, and then you go to USA Acres. So you get two shows based off of one guy's syndicated comics.
Yep.
So that's a smart move on the network.
Yeah.
So I'm going Garfield and Friends on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Garfield.
I think, and maybe it was also because Deke Entertainment is behind Heathcliff.
Look,
And anytime
Garfield,
they get involved with anything, it's always just about like.
yeah,
It's funny they didn't grab Garfield first. That seems like a them move. Maybe Jim Davis knew.
maybe. I will go with Garfield on this. It just has more history to it. That's it. That's period.
Yeah.
You know, I did find it interesting that, you know, I still feel like when we're talking about like who came first, Garfield or Heathcliff, Heathcliff came first.
Yeah, he did.
Heathcliff is not a ripoff of Garfield.
No, it's. I mean, I don't feel like Garfield's a ripoff of Heathcliff either.
No, because it was very interesting, that one line from Jim Davis about how he knew he had an idea, but the characters weren't right. His producers, everybody was telling him that, so he just looked at what kind of animal that people could kind of, you know, resonate with was not being represented in, you know, the funny pages. And it was cats. So
yeah.
maybe he
so strange.
He never saw, maybe he thought about that before Heathcliff actually became syndicated and went into the papers, and he was like, well, damn it, I'm already in the middle of this. It's
entirely possible. You have to remember that this was made before the internet was widespread. So if Heathcliff might not have been on even that side of the country, it might not have been on those papers.
Yeah.
That Jim Davis was seeing. We have no idea.
Heathcliff was syndicated. So Heathcliff was running on a lot of papers around the U.S. at that time.
Also, Heathcliff, I don't think he was in color yet. He might have been.
Not.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe Heathcliff decided to be orange later. What
Who
about
knows,
that
man?
plot twist? But round 2, we're giving it to Garfield and Friends.
Yeah, better history with that cartoon.
So I think next it's let's look at these shows.
Yeah, let's.
First
look
of
at
all, great cast on both. So you got Mel Blanc is Heathcliff. Stan Jones is Wordsworth, Riff Raff, Milkman. Danny Mann is Hector, Fish Market Preparator. Ted Ziegler is Mungo, Mr. Nutmeg. Donnie Christie is Iggy, Cleo. And then on Garfield's side, you have Lorenzo Music is Garfield. You have Tom Hughes as John Arbuckle. Roy Rooster, Binky the Clown. Greg Berger, Odie, Orson Pig, Weasel, Floyd Mouse, Herman the Mailman. Both shows have a mailman. How weird is that? Howard Morris is Wade Duck, Wirt, Worm, and Wolf. And then finally we have Frank Welker, of course, as Bo, Booker, Sheldon, and Mort. And I mean, all of these guys, their list goes on.
Yeah.
Except for Mel Blanc and Lorenzo Music. They're just our orange cats. Animation-wise, I kind of have to give that score to Heathcliff. There's more going on in that show.
Look,
Garfield, it's not bad.
Look, Garfield,
but it's definitely like it's more safe.
Yeah.
Like Heathcliff is like wrestling dogs and doing heists and stealing fish, and like there's a lot of movement with Heathcliff because he's a street cat and the plot demands him to go around the neighborhood. But with Garfield, he doesn't really, most of it is in John Arbuckle's living room. So there aren't a lot of set pieces. It's John Arbuckle's house, the vet. Occasionally they'll go to the fictional place of Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. No, Heathcliff, they'll go in for some. Like, they'll go in for it. They all...
The one cat, I don't remember his name. He's got the funny blue hat. He's got a hot air balloon. They drive a Cadillac. Like, there's all sorts of shit going on in that show. It's crazy that one did not catch on. Garfield, I will say, Garfield does lean a lot on the comedy side.
Okay.
Of like a lot of the jokes from the strip are in the show.
Okay.
So he hates Mondays. He eats lasagna. He's a dick to Odie. All that is there. So source material point, I kind of got to go with Garfield and Friends. I never read USA Acres as a kid, so I have no idea what that's about. I know the pig likes to read, and I do love Wade the duck's design because he's a duck with an inner tube, and the inner tube has himself. His head is on the like. What is that thing on the end of cars? I'm blanking.
The bumper?
The emblem.
The
thing.
hood
What
ornament?
do they call that? Yeah, it's his tube ornament is his face, but also when he reacts,
it also reacts.
The face matches his face at all times, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's a tough call. It really is. I think I would give it to Heathcliff because they got a big dumb cat. And if you know anything about me, I love me a big dumb guy.
Look, I'm going to give it to Heathcliff for this category all day long because I don't know. I can bail probably 8 minutes of Garfield and Friends. And then I'm done. It's just, I don't know. I think it's...
Why do you say that?
I don't know. Like, I don't like it. It's not good to me.
Do you not like Garfield? At all?
Take them or leave them. That's how I feel. Like,
okay.
Like the comic strips, I've seen a couple that I'm like, oh, that's pretty funny. But that's the most it ever gets. I'm not laughing. I'm just like, oh, that's pretty funny.
I enjoy Garfield. I enjoy I mean, as a kid, I fucking loved Garfield. I could not tell you why. I think because it was marketed at the right time for my brain to go, I fucking love that orange cat.
Look, I loved this show as a kid. But it just goes to show you that kids' taste.
Okay, let's move on to the next round. So what are we? Round 3, regular looking at the show.
Yep.
We're gonna give it to Heathcliff. Yep. So now let's stern look at it now.
Let's.
So Heathcliff ages better. I'll give it that.
It does. Yeah, it's just, to me, when I'm talking about, like, when I think about what am I going to get enjoyment from watching,
right,
it is going to be Heathcliff. And I think it's because the animation, it just feels a lot more crisp. I like what's going on with some of the backgrounds, some of that. It's just, it feels more alive, more lived in.
Yeah, the background art in Heathcliff is way better.
Yeah.
It makes you, it blows your mind that Deke Entertainment is now known as like,
do it for cheap,
the worst animation studio of the 90s. Yeah. Like the worst, like one of that, because you're just like, what happened? Hammerman happened. Check out our episode of Hammerman about my theory about that.
And plus, I like the stories that Heathcliff and like his, was it the Cadillac bunch or
Cadillac crew.
I like the stories, the mischiefs that they get in versus Garfield.
Garfield is just a lazy cat, and I
he's
think
a
that
boring
that
character.
joke wears thin.
He's a very boring character to me.
And I will say though, I like the musical cues in Garfield and Friends.
Yeah.
Like every time Odie shows up, it goes "Purr, purr, 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 purr," like stuff like that. There are things in Garfield I enjoy. The jokes definitely aren't as funny as I remember them. Like most of them are just Garfield being a huge douchebag to John Arbuckle and Odie. Like he's just mean.
He's just
like
a
he's a
dick.
mean guy.
He's just
Like
he's
if
just a
Garfield
dick.
was a dude, no one would like him.
Like
He would be a mean fat ginger.
is that why he's so mean? Just because he's fat?
Because he's it's because he's ginger.
I don't know
Actually,
which
it's
is
the combination of the two. You can be one and nice. You can't be both.
The
It's
moment
just-
you're
it
both,
brings
it's
something
just
out
no.
in people. I'm just mad at the world.
What? Why?
I think it's because they've got more skin to sunburn because they're so big. But I digress.
you
But
might be right.
I guess with the nostalgia taken off, you're going to abuse the skip intro button no matter which one you decide to go back and watch. But I would say I definitely watched more Heathcliff than Garfield because I could just stomach it better.
I'm telling you, you go back and watch Garfield and Friends as a adult, and it doesn't hit the same as when we
it doesn't
was
age.
kids.
It didn't age well animation wise, plot wise.
No, it did
Hard
not.
to say that about a kid's cartoon that it didn't age plot wise, but we're gonna say it. God damn it!
But yeah, he looking back at it, let's take the goggles off. Heathcliff all the way.
So before we get into the final round, I want to talk about the longevity of Garfield and Heathcliff. So we've got 2 movies for Garfield and 1 movie on the way starring Chris Pratt as Garfield.
Yep.
There was a CGI Heathcliff movie that was going to be released. It was going to be done by Universal Pictures and Illumination. And then as of 2021, Legendary Entertainment has plans to simultaneously develop a TV series and a movie about Heathcliff. But it's been 2 years since then, so I think it would be remiss to talk about there are 2 things with Garfield that a lot of people love to mention. There's Garfield minus Garfield. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So Garfield minus Garfield is all the Garfield strips, but without him. So it's just John Arbuckle's lines, and it makes John so much more depressing.
Oh.
And it's really sad, but it's also just kind of funny because he's just in a room talking to himself, and he's just like, I don't need TV to be happy. And then the next panel, he's like crying his eyes out. And the second thing that Garfield's longevity, and this is more like, I feel like he was easier to parody because of how his marketability in the 90s, just like Sonic. Sonic is super memeable because of how he was everywhere in the 90s. But Garfield, where Garfield is a H.P. Lovecraft style monster or Cronenberg style monster. There are several YouTube animators. Their entire careers are based off of Garfield.
Yeah.
Personally, they've run a little thin for me. I do recommend going to the website Garfield minus Garfield. That shit is actually very funny.
I remember when you got on the Garfield kick because it was like every other
it was.
day you were sending me a video.
It was funny at first, but then like I don't know, too much of a good thing, I guess. After a while, you're just like. I will say there is one. If you're a big fan of Meat Canyon, I don't remember what he calls it, but he has a Garfield parody that's that I thought he was going to lean in and have it be Garfield. I don't want to spoil it here. Just go watch it yourself. It's actually not that, and it's definitely a Meat Canyon style thing. So, if you're squeamish,
Garfield.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Garfield has definitely lasted the test of time versus Heathcliff. Most people don't remember Heathcliff, honestly.
There's that island that washes up Garfield phones. You heard of that?
No.
So there was I'm just giving you all this weird Garfield. That's how much Garfield consumed my life as a childhood. I think like I get weird targeted articles about Garfield. So there was this shipping cruiser coming from Japan or China or whatever, or whoever made these, but they were Garfield landline phones, and the ship sank.
Okay.
But they never got the cargo out. So I guess eventually the hull eroded, and now every once in a while there's this island where the waves come crashing in, or there's a big storm, and like 20 to 50 Garfield phones just wash up onto shore, and they have to take care of it. I don't know if it still happens, but it did happen. You can look that up.
That would be...
Everything I'm telling you about Garfield in this podcast is 100% true.
That would be the worst way to wake up on a beach with 50 Garfield landline phones. Like, imagine you're on a vacation. You've rented out this beach cabana.
I would love to go to Garfield Phone Beach.
I would.
That's like shark teeth.
No,
look, honey.
No, shark teeth.
That's like seeing an ancient civilization.
So, are you telling me that if I go there, I can get little like a shark tooth necklace, but it will be a Garfield landline phone necklace?
Actually, they're really big. They're
Andrew, I know landline phones are
No,
huge.
I mean like the phone itself was like at least a foot tall, because his tail was the phone. His tail was the receiver.
So it was like
it was a model of Garfield.
It was a 1-to-1 scale of Garfield.
Yeah, of Garfield. That was a phone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, you can't make a necklace out of it. You could use the cord. You could. Yeah, you could.
No,
just break it into pieces.
Andrew, that's the joke, is that you would see, like, how people would get that one tiny shark tooth necklace at the beach?
Oh, yeah.
Imagine just this.
What is that, a puka shell necklace? Nah, man. Garfield phone necklace.
You gotta, like, flash them, open up your whole, like, jacket. Bam.
You would be like Flavor Flav. Yeah, it cost me like $800.
Yeah, Garfield.
Why? Yeah, there's like 50 of them, but they said that this one was rare.
I believed them.
I believed them. They're natives. You got to respect their culture.
They would know.
Didn't want to be one of those tourists just grabbing Garfields off the beach. It's very disrespectful, man.
Imagine if that was your culture. Like, my father and his father before him and his father before him was
Dad,
on
I don't want to sell Garfield necklaces on the beach. You're going to throw away 3 generations of tradition? What are you talking about? Garfield was made in 84.
But still,
or 70 something. I can't remember what year you said.
73.
Okay.
Both of them 73.
So this wasn't actually a round. This was just us talking about the test of time. The fact that we didn't bring up Heathcliff once means, there's that.
Enough said.
Yeah. Poor cat. I don't know what about Heathcliff.
He is a poor cat.
Just America just turned its nose up at.
It's because he's poor.
He had an owner. He wasn't an alley cat.
He was poor, Andrew.
He was.
He's
he
always
didn't follow
hanging
the
out.
American dream.
He's always hanging out.
I think it's because he didn't have enough shtick.
Probably.
Like Garfield's he hates Mondays. He loves lasagna. He beats the shit out of Odie for whatever reason. He doesn't like normal. There's just all this stuff. You name me one other Heathcliff character from memory. You can't.
I think Jim Davis, he wanted to make something marketable, and guess what he did?
By God, he succeeded.
And maybe Heathcliff. I this is just speculation. I don't know nearly anything about the comic, so I can't speak. But I'm just speculating. Maybe Heathcliff, the guy went too much into like the character and building him like too deep.
Okay.
To the point where Garfield is just a surface character, so it's easy to just every few years throw him back out there and
that's true.
Keep it going.
There's not much depth to him, so
No.
you can basically relate to him because all of his problems are generic. Like, oh yeah, I hate Mondays too.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, no.
Does it right?
Right? Work humor. Tell that at the water cooler. Well, this comes out Wednesday, so you're already halfway done with the week. Whatever. Okay, next round. The final round.
Yes.
Which one of these fat cats, if we put him in a junkyard, who would win in a fight? I think Heathcliff would win. He already hangs out at a junkyard.
Exactly.
I can't believe I'm saying this. There are several episodes of where Garfield comes from a long line of Mousers, but he sucks.
He does.
So he gets kicked out of his mom. He goes and visits his mom, and his mom is like, "Oh, you're like the worst Mouser we've ever seen. You need to go back to your cushy life." I mean, she says it more loving than that, but but Heathcliff, he's like getting in fights. He can drive a car.
Look, the only thing Garfield is going to move that fat ass for is a pan of lasagna. That's it. That'll be like...
That's true.
That'll be like... You ever see like really big people try to stand up and take a couple of steps? That's what...
I mean, I am a 200-pound man. I can't eat a whole lasagna.
If
That's
cat's
a lot of
doing
carbs.
Dude, that cat's fat.
That cat's
ain't
fat.
moving. That cat.
That's at least a 30-pound cat.
Why do you think that cat's always on the counter? If they would zoom
That's
out
true.
on that comic panel, you would probably see a little box right behind him. That cat does not move from that position.
That's true. That's true. It reminds me of the cat you used to have, Blue.
The fattest cat ever.
Blue was so fat that he would crawl off your lap, but he'd get tired halfway and just go,
just give up.
just give up and stay.
Dude, that cat lived like 17 years though.
Hey, Garfield's still going strong.
Hey, there you go, man.
So what did we learn today? We learned that marketability trumps character development.
Yes.
It's a very sad lesson to learn from this Junkyard Brawl.
Yep.
Do we do your new reoccurring segment?
No,
on
we
Junkyard
don't
Brawl?
need to do that on Junkyard Brawl.
4 different reviews, that being said.
Yeah.
So any closing thoughts?
I mean, really, if you're looking for a actual show to watch, Heathcliff If you're just a big fan of Garfield, go watch that one. I mean, honestly, don't watch either of them. Do something better with your time, honestly.
Let us do the watching for you.
Now, Andrew, who's killing who in the junkyard, though? Did you not do...
Heathcliff.
You didn't do your battle.
That's true. That's true. So we pan out. It's Monday morning, and Garfield is lost. We'll say he fell out of John Arbuckle's car or something.
Made a loud
And he's
thud.
in this junkyard, and Heathcliff is all like, "There's only one room, and there's only one room for a big orange cat in this neighborhood." And Garfield's like, "Oh man, I could sure go for some lasagna." They did a whole robot chicken sketch about this in Catcord, but it's not the same.
Oh, I hate Mondays.
I hate Mondays, and I love lasagna. And Heathcliff like shanks him with a fishbone just over and over and over again. He's just
Garfield
this
does
is
nothing.
for all those years I didn't get residuals. I live in a shack because of you, and my girlfriend left me.
But the twist is the fishbone just gets stuck in the fat.
Oh, he's got to stab him a lot of times. It's like that one prisoner that got stabbed like 647 times.
Oh God!
But he was fat, so he survived.
Yeah. Damn.
They got a lot of cushion.
Yeah.
And he's a ginger. They're both gingers, though. It's hard to call. I'm still giving it to Heathcliff. What about you?
Yeah, oh no,
All the way.
He stabbed Garfield to death with a. He probably still had a little meat on the fishbone. You know, he was saving.
I feel
it
like
for later.
also years of eating lasagna probably made his heart bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Yeah.
Chances are he probably had a heart attack just from the fear of it before he ever got stabbed. So he went
Dying from
peacefully.
a heart attack while getting stabbed. Now that's Italian. And if you would like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/cartoondd. There we have a $5 tier where you get bonus episodes. This episode with extra audio. If you're so curious as to what it is, it has nothing to do with the actual subject we're talking about. It's just a little extra.
We pull back the curtain a little bit for you folks.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
You get every sticker we've ever made, pins, and access to our Discord. We have a website, cartoondumpsterdive.com. There you can go request a cartoon, request a Junkyard Brawl, request an anime for us to cover. Or if you'd like us to interview somebody in the world of animation, we'll talk to them, even if you think the interview will go badly. We have a Twitter handle, CartoonDD, although I think that got changed to X this week. We have a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all Cartoon Dumpster Dive. And as always, we appreciate a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choice. We'll make more animals fight for your entertainment if you do. Have a great rest of your week.
See ya. Are you advertising illegal cockfighting on our podcast?
This has been a Lug Hole Podcast.